I'd like to begin. Our first teller is Wynna Jorgensen. And Wynna is fourth generation Nanaimo. And Jeff is fifth. And Cooper is sixth generation. And she's been my friend for 16 years. We were just figuring it out. And she's going to share some of her family stories with us tonight. Thank you.
Yes, we're coming from you. I think it's kind of precious that Cooper is probably the youngest for sure, and maybe one of the oldest people in the hall tonight, because he is indeed sixth generation Nanaimo. So that means that his great grandfather and grandmother came to Nanaimo and began the generational story that I'm going to share with you tonight. So, kind of precious to have him here with me. I'm going to have him see Daddy. Here, I'm so proud sometimes, you know, I just can't hardly believe that I get to have him. So tonight is special for us, and I hope that the stories I share with you will have some meaning and maybe take you down memory lane a little bit. Are there other people here who are what I call old Nanaimo people?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
93, 94, he's really old.
Rephrase that, please.
How many other people have got generations behind them settling here in Nanaimo?
I'm the third generation.
Third?
Yeah.
Okay, kind of a pot, but that's okay.
My granddaughter's the fifth, of course.
Yeah, nice. That's very nice.
When he was born, the doctor slapped his mother.
Probably not such a fine young lad.
And you have history here too? You have history here too? You have generations?
Yeah.
Yeah?
My mother was born here. I was born here. My son was born here, my granddaughter.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. So, tonight is a story about a family's journey from the Shetland Islands to Nanaimo. Now, he's allowed to make those noises. They're very special. Although we might have to go. I understand. Is he on?
Let's go see Papa.
So, I'm going to refer to my notes because there are some things here that I do want to make sure that I include. But I just would like to tell you that some of the things that I am going to share with you tonight are a little bit about what it was like in old Nanaimo about 135 years ago, which is when my first ancestor came here. A little bit about my family and the general store that they started, and a lot about the spirit of the people that I'm going to talk to you about that started building a community amongst themselves. And I think, I just want to say when I first start, to acknowledge the land that we're on and to thank the Chinese Freemasons for sharing this building. And to tell you that this story is about the coal miners and the farmers and some of the non-Aboriginal people who were here, mostly because they were coal miners here for work, who wanted to build a new life. And I realize and want to acknowledge that when you talk about community building, there are always people who are left out of the story. So I'm just sharing with you some of the stories that I have about my family. And apologies to anybody who is left out. It's not the spirit with which I intend to tell these stories. In the Shetland Isles, 135 years ago, times were pretty tough. There was a lot of poverty. And what my family, the Manson family, experienced there was difficulty finding food, no work, and a future that looked very much the same. News about what was going on here was drifting to the Shetland Islands. There was I suppose the Hudson's Bay Company as well as the Vancouver Coal Company was excavating tons and tons of coal and shipping it all over the world, and they needed laborers. So Cooper's great uncle, Michael Manson, was an adventurous soul, and he decided he was going to come here because he heard that there was jobs, food, and prosperity. And so that's what he did. And as soon as he arrived, he started writing home to his brother Lawrence to say, you've got to join me here. There's food, jobs, and adventure. So in one of his letters, apparently he wrote, you could come here and eat very well. You can tell that our family would really like to hear that story. You can have meat twice a day if you want, instead of once a week if you're lucky in the Shetland Isles. Well, Lawrence, Kruger's great-great-great-grandfather, was pretty excited about this, and so he too set sail to come to Nanaimo. He was in Victoria, where he met Catherine Duncan, his bride, and they came to Nanaimo, settled in, started raising a family, and opened Manson's General Store. Now, a general store is a very important part of any community. I mean, we've all seen old westerns and stories where we know that a lot goes on there, and it's kind of oftentimes a financial hub of any community. So this store is located down on Halliburton and Farquhar Street. Still standing, has one of those, like they call it boomtown commercial storefronts. So it's very identifiable. It's about to tumble down, so if you're interested, you might want to go and have a look at that if you want to see it anytime soon. Anyway, they opened the store, raised a family. The brothers, their children grew up, and they then took over the store as well. And when I was reflecting on tonight, I was thinking about the spirit that it must take for people to leave all that is familiar and come to a faraway land and begin a new life. I have never had that experience. I'm old Nanaimo, and I haven't done that kind of adventuring. And I have high regard, and I'm kind of in awe of what it must be like to do that kind of thing. And that leads me to wonder, what was it like here? What did they come to? What would they expect to come to? Well, I think there are some people here who have stories and might know more than I do, but I'll tell you a little bit so that maybe you can imagine the community that they were coming to. The city, or the downtown, or the center of the community, I guess around Commercial Street, was muddy. There was lots of muddy streets, the odd wooden boardwalk. There was no post office yet. There had been a little tiny hospital built for the miners, but as yet the big hospital hadn't been built. I think in 1877, Nanaimo elected its first mayor. The Nanaimo Free Press had just started publication, but there was no high school. Which is interesting, isn't it? 135 years later, we have a university in our town, but then there was not even a high school to go to. And this is the context within which a lot of people started to make their own living, started to build their families. It was a hard life for a lot of people. Coal mining, as we all know, is not easy. But a lot of the people that came to my grandfather's store, they were farmers, but they were a lot of coal miners. So I read once recently that the definition of creating a good community involves having three things: trust, a willingness to share, and a real care about the people around you. My family has these qualities in great abundance, and this is what they brought to their community. I really wish I had some spicy stories to tell you about them, and I've been around. Well, there's one about my uncle who ran away to play the trumpet in the circus, but he didn't. That was about it. So there's not a lot of spice. Is there, Laura, that you've ever heard of? Oh, she's sitting quiet. Maybe there's a couple that I don't know.
There's one.
Okay.